Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the council meeting for October the 13th.
Not Friday.
No, thank God. It's been a day. For the agenda, is there any additions?
Madam Mayor, the organizational meeting is supposed to precede the regular council meeting.
It is. Sorry. So we're going to begin with our organizational meeting. Our organizational meeting is a meeting to select committees for council. And it is also a meeting where we select a deputy mayor as well as a designated survivor. So we'll begin the organizational meeting. Is there any additions to this agenda?
I'll move the agenda of the organization.
Councillor Morgan moves the agenda. All in favor? Carried. So the first order of business is the adoption of a deputy mayor and an acting mayor. So council may choose this in accordance with our procedural bylaw. We will vote to adopt a deputy mayor, and the term will end October 17th.
The election next year.
Yeah,
Okay, is that the election date?
the 18th is
Okay.
election.
And then, do you want to do that one first and then? So I will accept nominations for deputy mayor. Seeing none, I guess we won't have.
I'll nominate Councillor Langford for the position of deputy mayor.
Councillor Langford, do you accept?
Sure.
Is there any other nominations? Seeing none, I will close nominations. Thank you. And welcome to the deputy mayor again. So we will also vote to appoint an acting mayor for the third and fourth rotation, which will be from November 2020 till April 2021, and then again from May 2020 to October 17th, 2021.
No,
I thought
it
we
should be May
went,
2021.
oh, so,
Yeah, 6-month terms.
okay, so it'll be May 2021 to October, or till October 17th. I thought we just went by rotation in this. It wasn't an election. It's just a rotation. Who was last in the rotation?
I thought it was me.
So the next rotation will be you.
That's what we thought.
So it will be Councillor Morgan and then Councillor Welke.
For 6 months.
Yeah. So if the mayor or the deputy mayor cannot be available for a meeting or to go to a function, then you will be that person. All right?
I would be honored.
So you're in the rotation, it would be May 2021. That's when you.
Just after my birthday. Perfect.
Jan, these are sessions like, G8 and stuff like that, like pretty high.
Well, I'll watch Designated Survivor.
Okay, so that's settled. We will go on to the council committee appointments, beginning with the land use framework with the county. Has that one ever been called upon? I think in my 14 years here, I don't think it's ever been called upon. So can we remove that from our council list?
Make a motion, Madam Mayor, do you want to remove that?
Does somebody want to make that motion? Councillor Forrest, all in favor? Carried.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
are some of these, though, like their obligations, that one obviously was just a
It was a committee that the council, like the county set up, and they were going to have a land use framework for the entire region, and it never really came to fruition. So there's no sense appointing councillors there. If it ever comes up again, then we could put a councillor on.
It would be like adding a new
Yeah.
committee back.
Yeah. So the airport beautification enhancement task force. Oh, sorry. All in favor of removing this? Carried. The airport beautification, on it are myself and Councillor Jessamine. I'd like to stay on this, but I would like to know when it's going to begin.
I believe we're just waiting for the appointment of the last of the public members.
And we don't have anybody from the airport.
User group.
Is that the last of the task force?
Yeah. We'll go back to the user group and ask one more time. If not, you now do have a public member, so you could proceed.
Oh, yeah, like we didn't know at Mackenzie County that we were, or at Mackenzie Frontier that we were even supposed to appoint somebody. We didn't get a letter there, or yeah, we just got one.
It was sent in March or April.
Oh, well, it never came to the committee. Okay. So that's why our appointment was so late. So does anyone else want to challenge Councillor Jessamine around on this task force? Okay, Councillor Jessamine, do you want to stay on it?
Sure.
Okay. The Assessment Review Board, this is one that we have to have, and myself and Deputy Mayor are on there, and it is that wonderful course that we take, and all you guys should also take it. Did you take it, Councillor Jessamine? Perhaps you would like to take my place on there then.
I thought you'd like being
I think. as
I've been
many-
on it forever.
I think as many counselors that are certified should be on there as alternatives. We may get a call from the county.
Sure.
The county has these all the time. Don't think the town has ever.
We've had a couple.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Normally ours go to the assessor and then they're dealt with
Resolved.
there, resolved. So we'll add you, have you taken this, Councillor Welke?
No.
Councillor Morgan?
No.
You could have went online and taken it, you wouldn't have even had to travel this year. It was like 2 days you'll never get back in your life.
Okay, but the 2-day course is the recertification. If you've
Yeah.
never had it, it's 4 days.
Okay, so we'll add Councillor Jessamine to that.
Do we know when Jerry Choniak's certification expires?
We'll check on the assessment review board. We do have him, his expiry for the subdivision development approval. That's coming up.
Is he the only public member?
October 2019, the county put him through.
Karen Holditch is for subdivision. Did she not do the assessment?
No.
No.
Okay, so the Banner of Remembrance Committee, myself and Councillor Welke is on there as the alternative. It is my understanding that we are going to keep this and change it from a task force to a committee. And do you want to stay on there?
I'm happy to remain on this.
Okay. Do you want to go on as the rep and I'll go on as your alternate?
I can do that. It's,
Okay.
if that's,
Yeah, that's fine, like I'll give up some of these committees. I mean, it's gone to where I want it to go, so you run with it. Does anybody else want to go on this committee? No? Okay, so Councillor Welke will be the member, and I will be his alternate. So if you can't make a meeting, call me.
I think I was kind of just going to the meeting, which is.
I know, and voting.
What's that?
I thought that we were both members.
Wow.
Doesn't matter, we had no disagreements anyways. So Boreal Housing, I'm on that one, and Clark is the public member. We have to send a letter or put a letter in the paper for the public member. I would like to stay on as the council member, just because we're having some dealings with our lodge now that would take a long time to bring everybody up to speed. Does anybody want to disagree with me? Okay, so you're fine with me staying on there? So both the deputy mayor and I are on SETI. I would like to continue with SETI, deputy
Madam
mayor.
Mayor? Yeah, it's now the first Wednesday, no?
Yes,
Sorry, Madam Mayor, Ms. Beaton had a question.
yes.
We're not gonna go with, we're gonna advertise that position then for the Boreal Housing Foundation?
Well, we have to.
Okay.
We have to advertise public members, but Clark will stay on it as
Okay.
all public members have to be advertised.
You mean post a notice of?
Yes.
Or advertise for?
Yeah, just post a notice.
Post a notice of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Deputy Mayor, do you want to stay on that working group?
I think so. It's, we're in that final year, so.
Okay. Everybody's fine with that? Okay. Community Futures, Councillor Forrest and Councillor Welke, you are both on there. Do you wish to stay?
I'll stay.
Okay. Anybody else want on there? Golden Range, I am on there, and Councillor Anderson is the alternate. Councillor Anderson,
I'll stay, I'm fine with it.
you want to stay with alternate, or do you want to?
I don't think it matters, does it?
No. So I guess we can split the meetings again.
Yeah.
Okay. The High Level Transportation Society, Councillor Forrest and Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, I'll stay. I'll stay too.
Okay. Anybody else? No? The High Level District Chamber of Commerce, Councillor Anderson and Councillor Welke.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not sure if there have been a lot of meetings. Are you getting the communications?
I'm getting some from them, yes. There hasn't been a recent one. The last one I missed because a notification came out about 2 hours before the meeting,
Yeah.
so I
That
don't
one
know
maybe
if
we'll
that
just
was-
pass a message back and forth, because I can often, attend that short notice too if needed, so we can just leave it as is.
Okay. PAC, High Level Forest, Public Advisory, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Morgan.
I really like it, thanks.
I'll stay as the alternate.
Okay. High Level Policing Society, Councillor Jessamine and Councillor Forrest.
I'd like to stay,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, you are the Councillor Forrest is the alternate. The High School Bursary Committee is myself, Councillor Forrest, and Councillor Morgan for our our meeting a year. Are you okay to stay?
I'm good to stay on that.
Councillor Forrest? Anybody else want on that committee? Okay, I'll stay. So the intergovernmental negotiations, which are probably going to ramp up here within the next 3 months, so I hear. And myself, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Morgan are on there. Are you okay with staying on
Sure, if we're gonna start to do something.
The county was reviewing the RSSA on their administration's recommendation to continue it on an annual basis until some of the governance issues are dealt with. So I didn't hear back from them today, but they were.
They, I think they decided that they would do an extension, but they want to start to meet.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah, I'm
okay
good.
to stay? Okay. Did anybody else want on there? No? Okay, I'll stay. Intermunicipal Planning, Councillor Morgan and Councillor Anderson.
I'm good with it. They're 15-minute meetings.
Okay.
I tried.
You do not have a public member yet?
I don't know who would be missing.
No, you do not have a public member from the title.
Can we post that one too?
Yeah.
I think
That's one that's
Horst or
advertised.
Cynthia Horst was our last public member.
Oh, really?
McKenzie County,
Yeah.
anything that goes on before that.
So if we could post and maybe
It's interesting.
rattle the bushes?
Your last minutes were posted in the county's last meeting agenda.
Mhm.
Were the minutes accurate? It started at 7 and adjourned at 7:02.
Yes,
Pretty close, yeah.
I run a tight ship.
Okay, the Intermunicipal Planning Commission, Councillor Morgan and Councillor, oh, that's what you did that. The Intermunicipal Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, Councillor Jessamine, Deputy Mayor Langford, and our public members are Jerry Chomiak and Karen, and they're both certified till next year.
And both have expressed an interest to continue.
Okay?
Uh,
You want to continue on that?
Yeah, no, I made a mistake here. I thought I had, this is the training I have, the certification I have. I don't have the other board training.
Really?
Assessment review.
Okay,
So we'll have to fix that.
okay.
Sorry.
So you'll stay on this one?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So the assessment review
Yeah.
board will remain with Deputy Mayor and myself.
The subdivision one, it's only a one-day course.
Yes. Haley and I took that last year. She made me laugh the whole time we were there.
Mackenzie Frontier Tourism Association, Councillor Morgan and myself are on that. Does anybody want on it? Do you want to stay?
I'll stay.
Nobody wants on it? I'll stay. So the regional golf tournament, is that still a thing or?
I hope so.
COVID.
Yeah, that's what happened, so.
Okay, so yourself and Councillor Morgan are on there?
The golfers of the group.
I'm a huge golfer, so.
You're going to remain, okay. Mackenzie Regional Waste Management Commission, we have Councillor Forrest and Councillor Morgan.
I'll stay on.
I as well will stay.
Okay, anybody else want to go to that? We love committees, come on. NAIL, which is the Northern Alberta Elected Leaders, myself and Deputy Mayor are on there. And sometimes this is open to other councillors as well, if you want to go and see what all the other, well, I guess we're not going, we're doing it via Zoom now. But at some point, if you want to go, just let us know. Northern Lakes, Councillor Welke and Councillor Morgan.
I would like to stay as I finally made contact.
Oh,
And I have an orientation next week. So
okay. Councillor Morgan,
I will also stay.
okay?
Have you had orientation? I have not had orientation. You should come with me.
Yeah, you should go with them.
Tuesday morning.
The next one is NTAB. We can remove that one as well, as Reddy has opted out of this group. So could I have a motion to that effect?
Does the town want to stay in separate and apart from Ready or not?
No. Well, I don't think we should.
Do you want us to bring that back as an agenda item?
NTAB?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a committee of Reddy.
I've read it, yeah.
So if Reddy's opting out of it, is the town going to pay for the $12,000 a year?
No, because other municipal members pay like $1,000 a year.
I don't know. Do you want it brought back?
We can bring it back during budget discussions if you'd like.
Okay, you can bring it to the committee of whole, but I don't see the reason for it.
I just think it's a waste of Ready's money, but whether the municipality for $1,000, whether there'd be some benefit.
But it's also counselor time and.
Absolutely. But Zoom meetings now too, I would assume.
Yeah, there hasn't been one in forever. Okay, so we'll bring that one back then. The Northwest Regional Emergency Advisory Committee is Councillor Jessamine, Councillor Anderson.
That's the one that's tied to the tri-council meeting, which hasn't been held since.
Right.
Are you still,
I'm fine with it.
Councillor Jessamine?
Good.
Okay. The Northwest Regional Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Society. Councillor Welke, are you still good there?
I'm happy to stay, yep.
Okay. And does anybody want to go in as the alternate? I'm the alternate, but I guess I'll stay. So when you can't make a meeting, call me.
Would you like to go to somebody sometimes?
Yeah, I'd like to know what's going on. That's my thing.
I do have a report.
Oh, good. Northwest Species at Risk, myself and Councillor Morgan are on there.
I will stay.
Okay. I will stay too, but if someone else would like to sit on there. Anybody else?
They gave me up to speed on that.
Yeah. Well, I have 2 boxes of information. The sub-regional task force is now gone. So could I have somebody to,
I'll move to strike it.
okay? All in favor? Carried. Peace Library, Councillor Anderson, Councillor Morgan.
I can stay as the alternate.
Yeah, I'll stay with it.
Okay. Ready, myself, Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Jessamine is the alternate. Deputy Mayor, do you want to stay?
Sure, if there's no other interest.
And I'll stay if there's no other interest. Is anybody interested? I know you're all interested, but do you have the time? Councillor Jessamine, you are the alternate on there, and you're welcome to come to meetings
Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah,
It's a lot of getting up to speed. So if you want to just come and see what it's about, that's. The subdivision and development appeal, Deputy Mayor Langford, Councillor Jessamine, Jerry Chomiak, and they're both certified till next year. Are you? Yes.
We have had someone from the public express interest, so we're arranging training for them and we'll recommend their appointment once that training is finished.
Okay, that's good.
Do they want to do the assessment review board as well?
Not if I tell them it's 4 days.
Well, it's
Well, we
on
can ask.
Zoom now, so it might not be as long.
No, I'll put that forward to them. I actually haven't thought of that.
Actually, what I just got the information downloaded. I went through it myself. Of course, I've taken it like 3 or 4 times, and then wrote the text. So I don't know if that's the way they're running their first-time members or not.
Yeah, we can see what the requirements would be before we scare them off with that, but, yeah, we'll definitely talk to them about it.
Do you want
I
to
just
see?
think it would be beneficial. Sure.
Okay.
And any other counselor that wants to get certified? Should.
I don't see them all putting up their hand.
There is a training coming up with that legal firm. There's one in November, about the 3rd week of November, and the Municipal Government Board is trying to schedule a tentative on that same week.
Okay. So the next one is going to be removed.
So as part of the tourism development plan, we're removing, the recommendation will be to remove the tourism enhancement grant committee and make it committee of the whole. So that will come to your next, the meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay. So do you want us to remove it now?
You might want to consider the policy first.
Okay.
But, so you don't need to appoint, or you can just extend these appointments until that decision is made.
Okay. The Town of High Level Library Board, Councillor Morgan and Councillor Anderson.
I will stay.
I'm fine, I'll stay.
Okay.
Richard Donaldson has moved from the town of High Level, so we could probably strike him from the committee bill.
Okay. The Town of High Level Municipal Emergency.
Sorry, with the library board, do we need to advertise for another public member now?
Yeah.
I think we're always advertising for public members.
Yeah, we'll add that to the public member advertisement.
Town of High Level Municipal Emergency Advisory Committee. Myself, Councillor Jessamine, and Councillor Anderson. Are you guys good? Okay. Anybody else want in to this exciting one? that we've never had a meeting for. Okay, the Water North Coalition is myself, and Keith is my sidekick, and he fills me in on what happens, because I haven't made a meeting in a year, because I have them in obscure locations like Lac La Biche and Cold Lake in the middle of winter. And Councillor Forrest is the alternate. Are you?
Yeah.
When was the last meeting, Keith?
It was in February, it was a teleconference, so.
Yeah. So the next one is?
Probably February, so.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll stay there. If someone else wants to take it though, it's... All right. Is the terms of reference for the airport supposed to be in here? In the organizational meeting?
No, the note in the briefing note is there just to say, just to let you know, in the terms of reference, the MFT at Mackenzie Frontier Tourist Association has one member. So they have put forward Heather Johnson as the member from the MFTA, and we just need a motion from council to ratify that.
Okay. Okay, so could I have a motion to accept all members on the committees? Councillor Forrest?
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried. The council meeting schedule. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so let's do the appointment of this member to the,
I will move the appointment of Miss
okay, so,
Johnson.
okay, so Councillor Morgan moves acceptance of the recommendation of Mackenzie Frontier Tourism for the appointment of Heather Johnson.
Johnson. There's no H.
It's still Johnson.
It's not.
All in favor? Carried. So the next is the council meeting schedule.
Do we have to adjourn?
Well, we're not finished yet. This is under our organization.
Now's your chance to change meeting dates till Friday and Thursday.
So looking at those, is everybody good with them until they change?
Madam Mayor, there's a couple of notes on there. The summer meeting schedule, especially after our experience this summer, was we have one at the first Monday in July, then 3 weeks or a month break, one in the first Tuesday in August because of the stat holiday, and then one at the last Monday in August. And that allows us to have the 3 meetings across the summer, but still allow time for people to have vacation. We've added a committee of the whole meeting on the 6th of December, just to give time, especially as the election is next year, we may need that time to wrap up or finish off the budget process. And then we've noted that the election is on October the 18th.
Okay. Is everybody good with those dates?
So October 25th would be the organizational meeting as well.
Yes.
For next year?
Yeah, because the election would be ratified in noon on the 22nd.
Somebody want to move it, or
I'll move it.
do we want to dwell on it? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Could I have someone adjourn the organizational meeting?
I'll adjourn.
Councillor Welke, all in favor? Carried. So we'll move into the public portion. I guess there is no in-camera portion for this one. We will move into our regular council meeting. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, administration has no additions.
Okay, council? None? Could I have someone accept the agenda then, please?
So move it.
Councillor Forrest, all in favor? Carried. So we will move on to the RCMP report. And you're not Staff Sergeant Stellar on. I'd like to welcome Corporal Holmes to our meeting.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. been a while since I got to come in.
Yes.
Oh, do I fit in the chair? Good.
All
Right.
that equipment.
All that gear, yes,
Yeah.
that's the problem. That's the main issue is the gear. Yes, this for September, we had a really good month. I'll just start off by saying that the big word around town, nobody cares what happened in September. A lot of people want to know what's going on with the spray painted buildings and everything. So what I can say is that we had 2 incidents with the spray painting. On October 7th, somebody went with silver spray paint, and they did a couple of personal vehicles around town, and they also tagged some of our police vehicles that were parked in our parking lot as an attachment. That was one incident. We're still looking into that one. We do have some more investigative avenues that we're pursuing on that. We are hopeful that we will be concluding that and making an arrest shortly. The second incident happened the next night, and that was a group of youth, which we identified, and that was where the multiple locations around town, the high school, the pool, the dollar store, several personal vehicles, several residences. That was the big incident. And that incident, we were able to identify one of the youth involved very quickly, and then that led to the identification and charging and pending charges against 4 other youths. So in that incident, there was 5 youths we found total, and we've identified them all, and we have charges either laid or pending on all 5. So I have no control over what happens once it goes through the court system, but I have full faith in it, and something will come of it more than us not knowing what happened kind of thing. So that was almost fully wrapped up within 24 hours of it happening. So we had a couple members that did some really good work there, and had tip of the hat to the parents involved. A lot of the parents ended up finding out that their children were involved and bringing their kids to the detachment and having words with us there. So that was a really big help.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm. It was really, really, like, especially for high level, that's such a remarkable thing to have happen, because we don't get that a lot here. So when it did happen, it was like I said, it was very, very remarkable for the town, but we were able to bring it to conclusion pretty quickly. The other one where like I said, the night before, we are still working on that one, but I'm confident that we'll be able to figure out who that was as well and lay a charge there. I did supply some stats to Madam Mayor and administration. It was a pretty good September as far as our crime reporting went. Overall for the year, January to September, we're down 16%. We have a 16% decrease in our criminal code offenses. A lot of that has to do with the new climate we all find ourselves in with COVID, I think, with a lot of people are staying home. Some of our things are coming up a little bit. We've seen a 5% increase in our persons crimes. So that would be our assaults, murdering threats and such. I would say anecdotally, it feels pretty similar, but it just seems like there's a lot less people out and about, and a lot less people doing their public gatherings and things. With the limitations that people are putting on themselves as far as the family gatherings, that's where we've historically seen some of our alcohol-fueled called for services come from. And with those in a decrease, then those calls for service are also in a decrease at this point. So that's been an upside for us. Slight increase in theft of motor vehicles, but that's only an extra 2. And again, any theft of motor vehicle files we've had, we've either been able to bring them to a swift conclusion or work with the person and their insurance and that kind of thing. As far as our crime reduction report, I didn't get an actual crime reduction report from the Constable Funk and the crew unit, but I just did some looking and then I spoke with him a little bit. For the month of September, the first 2 to 3 weeks, he was doing a lot of surveillance and a lot of investigating. We had some individuals come in, some specialists come in from outside of town for the first couple of weeks that helped him with some of his intelligence gathering, and we had a corporal come in from Grand Prairie who specializes in information and intelligence, and he came up and they worked together and they were able to do a lot of good work, which is it's a lot like farming. The more you put into it on the front end, the more you get out of it at the back end. So then at the end of the month then was harvest time, and they were able to have a separate team then come up from Edmonton and do some really good work as far as a big drug project, which was totally and 100% organized by Constable Funk and the crew unit. And yeah, we had about a dozen drug operators come in from Edmonton, and we made 4 arrests at the time, and then gathered a bunch more information. And just this past weekend now, Constable Funk arrested another individual, and one of the most well-known drug-involved individuals in town, and it looks like they'll be going away for a while now as well. So I know everybody always wants to make sure they're getting their money's worth from that crew unit, and for my money, it's fantastic. They're doing an excellent job. We will be losing Constable Funk now at the end, well, he's due out January. He said he'll stay until the spring possibly, but we are looking at who our best candidates are to take that over and trying to make sure that they have enough time to work with him and absorb as much of his knowledge as possible before, unfortunately, we do lose him. So, but because of the work that's been done in that unit and the targeting the drug users and the dealers, all of our members that come in, they want that job. So they're all coming in their days off, and they're trying to work with him, and they're trying to run the surveillance, and they're trying to do all of the same sort of thing, because they want to show that they have the high interest and that they'll generate the same results that he does. So it's been really, really positive. And that's it. Our staffing changes, we haven't had much. We've got a new member coming in now. He's transferring in from Airdrie. Constable Ortman, who was the second half of the crew unit, just transferred out. He went to Morinville. So one thing I will say, I've been high level now for 2.5 years, and one of the big shifts that I've seen is that within our own policing world, within the RCMP, high levels gained a real great reputation as being a great place to live and a great place to work and a great place to learn. When I first came, almost our entire detachment was made up of new recruits that had come out of our depot training, and you don't get any say in where you go for your first post, you get put where you put. And so now we're getting recruits. I know we just got one, Constable Alamehu, and he said that high level was his first pick. And Constable Cairns, who was our recruit that came before him, she said the same thing, because she said that we had that reputation as being a really fun place to work and being a good training ground. Even in depot, they're asking for it. And now we're starting to get, because of the word of mouth, and social media is helping us a lot, we're getting a lot of experienced members with 5, 6, 7, 10 years service, and they're putting down that they want high level when they're due to transfer out of other spots. So to have a member ask for high level out of Airdrie, and mostly it's a lot of people trying to go the other way there, but they wanted to come here because they heard it was a good spot for kids. We all speak really highly of it, all of us posted here, and they know that the work's really good there's really good work to be done here. We just had another one coming from Hinton, another experienced member. It's nice to see a mix, because you're getting that new recruits come in with all of the vigor, and they're the ones that are really good to go and they want to get out there. But then our experienced officers, there's a wealth of knowledge to be had there as well. And it's to the benefit of our detachment and the town and county to have the variety. So,
well, thank you for that. That's really good news. Good to hear.
Are there any questions at all? Any concerns I can address?
I'm good.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Not a question for Corporal Holmes, but I did have a request from Staff Sergeant Delaron. During the RMA conference on October 29th and 30th, the commanding officer of K Division is setting up meetings. If the council has any issues, they wouldn't mind them being forwarded. We could put together briefing notes for them. He would appreciate if the council had a few minutes to discuss if there are any issues to bring forward.
And the caveat is not, it's driving issues, it's not things we've been asking for numerous times. So I guess one of our driving issues was the radio system and the fact that I know it's on a pilot project. I know it was supposed to end the end of September, and I guess that's kind of what we would like to know, as our peace officer time is being used up with 2 peace officers having to go at once, because we have very little radio communication with the detachment. Council, do you have any other?
Is there any update on that?
I don't have any update now. I did run it after I spoke with Madam Mayor and this morning. I did mention it and run it up the flagpole, and I let the people above me know that I wanted an answer on it and that I was expected to provide an answer. And they told me they would get back to me, so as soon as they do, then I'll let you know. I would, and then my personal opinion is I would like them on it, obviously. We work very closely with both of them, and they're both personal friends of mine as well, so I don't see why, it would make me feel better, a lot better if they were on it. And it would be a benefit to everybody at this point. The other day, we were looking for a 4-year-old child who just wandered out of the yard, and we had all of our units driving around like mad and checking parks and checking here, and then Mark drove past, and I thought, well, if Mark was on our radios, he would know already, and we would have one extra person out looking at this point. Now we've got to phone him on a cell phone. Thankfully, we do have that depending on if he knows who's on, he can make a quick call, but for me, I can call Mark on a cell phone real quick and give him an update. And the child was found just as I was doing that, so it was all good, but it is only to everybody's benefit to have that. And I'm fully in favor of it, so as soon as I get an answer, and if I'm not satisfied with the answer, I'll send it back up and see what I can get.
Anybody else? Like, I don't want to waste K Division's time with my usual requests. So if we don't need to see them, that would be probably good.
We'll get an update on the for access radio system once it comes through. If council has nothing, I can definitely forward that to staff, sir.
But I would also, I'll also go and meet them if we don't hear anything.
Absolutely.
The only other question is, with the extra member that's now being allocated to our detachment, is there timing on that when the position will be filled?
The position's been, or the individual's been identified. They're just completing, they're coming out of, again, another experienced member coming out of Grand Prairie, and we're just waiting for her, a female member, we're waiting for her medical to clear. And that takes a little bit of time, especially now in the days of COVID, but as soon as that clears, we anticipate within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we should have boots on the ground for that one.
Okay, well, thank you
All right.
very much for
Perfect.
attending.
Thank you
and
very
your
much.
report and good news and okay, the September 28th minutes are in our packages. Is there any errors? If not, could I have someone move to accept them?
I'll move to accept.
Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. I actually sent out, the business from the RCMP. Can I have someone move for information? Councillor Welke, all in favor? Carried. So I did send my report to you. For the community's knowledge, we did have a SETI meeting. We discussed our workshop number 3. We also have discussed Indigenous corporate training. We identified those of us that wanted to take it at the SETI meeting. Was there anybody that was not there that would like to take the training? Councilors? Nobody? Okay. So how many did we end up with? 7?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
That included, there was a couple of members from the DNA that wanted to take
Yeah.
it. Oh, was it, sorry, Sandra said 12.
12, okay. Okay. And that included senior staff, right? Yes. And there was nobody else from senior staff that wanted to take it?
I don't think there was any others missing.
Okay. Okay, so the update from the subcommittees, the water wastewater has begun. We will, the mayor, the chief and I will attempt to get together before it's finished and have a solid turning. Have you spoke at all with the chief about meeting?
We haven't heard from him. We'll make contact with him this week and see how they're doing.
Okay.
He was in self-isolation again.
Okay. The multi-use center, the contract was awarded. And going forward, all meetings will be joint with the school division and the Dene. And the design of the new evacuation center will include elements of the Dene culture. And we're aiming for this to be completed by the end of January or February so that it's ready to go to tender phase. And we are looking to set up meetings with the federal government, or funding meetings, sorry, with the community. Boreal housing, a lot of our time, of course, has been spent on, or not my time personally, but the CAO's time has been spent on the Fort Vermilion flooding. Heimstead, at the time of this report, Heimstead was still at an outbreak status. You have to go 28 days COVID-free before you come out of that. The clients there are allowed to go into the community, and they all understand the rules now that they must self-isolate when they come back. Mackenzie House, our CAO is working with WSP and Barry Engineering to get the paperwork completed so that we can have the upgrades to Mackenzie House. Our office, downtown office, has now moved into Mackenzie House, and the staff is cleaning up in there. We've passed the kitchen license, and we're doing accommodation, not we, but they're doing accommodation inspections by the end of the week. So in order to accept L3 people to live in the studio, we need to have at least 5 moving in to make it feasible to hire kitchen staff and such. So Northwest SAR, we have the State of the Region report. We're having a little bit of trouble with our businesses getting in data. We're trying to fill in data gaps for this region, and when we send letters to agencies, they don't supply us with the information. We actually have to send a letter to the minister now to get information about the children's services here. And we're doing aerial imaging, and we've received positive news from Korea, and we now have money to do ground truthing. And so the second year of our cameras is starting to go into effect. Our trappers are going into training in Fairview, and then they will be in high level. So our workshop went really well. We had emergency planning in the morning, and in the afternoon, we spent coming up with a vision for a friendship accord with the Dene. The working group will now take that information and make it into an MOU or a friendship accord, depending on what the group wanted. The vitalization grant, we had one presentation with Blaine Dimmler and Margaret at Caesars. It was very nice. They've really fixed up their building and it looks great. And so we're asking to have more businesses apply. And did the Sacred Warrior apply?
We've had another application for downtown private.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that they did some fixing up to their building. And so that is my report. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. Nope.
I'll move your report as presented.
Councillor Morgan moves my report. All in favor? Carried. Committees, Deputy Mayor.
September 30th, I attended the same city working group meeting as the mayor. October 6th, also the day-long city workshop, the mayor summarized. And then later on the 6th, the high-level forest public advisory group. The local mills sort of summarized some of their upcoming harvest plans, the areas. Looks like all 3 of the local mills will be going back into the burnt wood one more winter. Apparently, they were surprised to find not a lot of the wood had received bug damage, perhaps due to the extra moisture or something. So they're hoping to have another successful year there. They summarized their planting operations, and I believe Tolko did a total of 14.5 million trees this year, 3.5 million of which was reseeding trees that were burnt in the fire that had been planted in 2018. So,
Was the Moose report on it?
yeah, the moose report was on there. It was quite interesting. It should be available. They were going to provide the presentation.
Okay.
So,
The slide, was it a slideshow?
yeah, it was a brief little PowerPoint presentation and just a summary of some of the things that they've done. And,
So what about the moose population?
I think it's been fairly stable, and they haven't seen a lot of predator damage, if you want to call it that, but yeah, the population seems to be healthy. One of the parts of the presentation was the impact on hunting. If you were to take a cow-calf as opposed to a bull, the impact 1, 3, 5, and 10 years down the road, it's a significant difference. So if people are just taking bulls, that you'll have a healthier moose population.
The ones that are posting are only taking bulls.
That's all I had.
All right, any other questions of Deputy Mayor? Okay. Councillor Anderson.
September 30th, intermunicipal planning commission meeting. That's all I
Did you plan to give out a,
have. Quick and short. It was a gentleman south of town that wanted to build a shop on his property, and it was granted.
okay, Councillor Forrest,
No meetings.
Councillor Jessamine,
October 6th, the working session at the Mirage. That was it for me.
okay, Councillor Morgan,
September 30th, I also attended the IMPC meeting for all of 2 minutes. And October 1st, I also attended the Northwest Species at Risk meeting that you previously covered.
okay. Councillor Welke,
A little bit out of order here, but I also attended on October 6th the Deneta High Level Joint City Workshop. As gone over, it was a nice experience. Upcoming, just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of the upcoming Banner of Remembrance Evening Social on the 14th, tomorrow night, here at the Town Hall. The Community Education Committee, which I am now in contact with after a lot of digging around in communication. I don't have a lot to report. I just will be attending an orientation session and a meeting of theirs on the 20th. But also in the communications from that group, I came across their Alberta 2030 initiative. I'll just read it here. Will transform the adult learning system to focus on providing the high-quality education, skills, and training needed to get Albertans back to work, meet current and future labor market demands, and drive innovation to make Alberta competitive in a 21st century global economy. There's a survey online for all Albertans to take, and I'm wondering if we could perhaps put that out on our own website for the college just can get some feedback from Albertans on that initiative of theirs. FASD, I got the minutes from my September 15th meeting. A Métis contract was signed, so they'll be doing more work in Paddle Prairie. They had a contest on the building name that was put up, but there were no submissions. So they'll be asking staff and clients maybe to come up with a name for the building. They want to get something fairly creative for the building and not too generic. Grand opening still is looking at mid-October, so I'll know maybe more next week where we're at there. And the only other thing to report, I haven't had a meeting with, or Ellis and I haven't had a meeting with Community Futures, but there is looking to be a second round of CFRF loans. So the big business loans coming, there's a second round of them, which is really good for us because we used up all of our money in the region and there were extra applicants. So our local businesses can look forward to having the opportunity to, secure some of those loans again. But we'll have more probably within in a week or so, more information. So that's all I have.
any questions for? Okay, could I have someone move council reports then, please? Councillor Jessamine, all in favor? Carried. The next one is actions resulting from council committee meetings. Any questions? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Looking for information.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. All in favor? Carried. The capital project status report. Questions on it? None?
I'll move for information.
All in favor? Carried. Financial report.
Madam Mayor, I'll defer this to Director Phillips. She's done a slightly different format, and I'll let her present it to you.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. For September 2020, I just did a graph and a difference, so I'm not naming out all the numbers. So we have a decrease of $219,767 from August to September. We did have the one client that did pay off their outstanding balance from last month. So, and then also we have greater than 91 days outstanding. We have 2 customers that make up 72% of that balance. So we'll be contacting them to either look at arrangements moving forward. And for taxation, we have a decrease of $35,226,000. So with this, it's more so, we found that 10% of taxes have been paid on time compared to last year, a higher percentage paid on time, I think because of the increase of the extension of the deadline. And after the letters were sent out for their September 1st penalties, we found that we got a lot more payments in. So that seems to be an increase from last year. Utilities, I've only included the arrears just because our utility balance is a carry forward monthly. So the arrears that we're looking at for September 30th is $41,445. So, and then I've also included, if there's any questions with that.
Is this normal for utilities to be at 41,000?
I feel like there's a number of bulk water accounts in our AR, and then also within our utilities, there's a number of bigger accounts in there. I don't feel like it's abnormal. And then I've also included our monthly actuals versus budgets. I've decreased the size of it a little bit. I've only highlighted anything that was out of the ordinary. So right now we're looking at about a 66%, what our actual should be compared to our budget. So anything that is out of the ordinary I've highlighted in green, and the yellow is also highlighted as COVID-related differences. And then on the second page of that, you will see that the reason for variances by department.
Yes.
I really like the new format, great job.
Do you? Thanks.
Is there any other questions, comments? None? I will.
Move it for information.
Deputy Mayor moves for information. All in favor? Carried. Did I skip your report?
If you wish.
Huh?
If you wish.
No.
No, it's nice. It's right behind the financial report.
All right.
Oh, okay. Madam Mayor, the administration is pleased to present the September report to council. I'll fill in also on the development side, but just my activities over the month of September, quite a bit on cleaning up capital projects for the rest of this year, starting the planning for capital projects for next year. A lot of work on, as you mentioned, with Boreal housing, with some of the issues that we've been facing with Boreal housing, both with the flood in Fort William and also with the opening of Mackenzie House. The land use bylaw went through a very comprehensive line-by-line review, and that took a considerable amount of time, but we're ready to present to the public. Those notices will go out next week, so the one-pagers on the pages. I don't want to steal some of this because it's going to overlap with enough of the director's reports as well. Maybe what I'll do is I'll come back to Ms. Phillips, but planning development, Ms. Gavin has presented hers. The addressing and roadway data sets have been approved and are complete. So that addressing, the new addressing, because of the realignment of Highway 58, has gone out to the landowners, and the new signs and street signs have been ordered. Planning's also been working with Green Space Alliance on Alberta Social Housing's rezoning application for the north end of 103rd Street. So that will be coming forward as Haley cleans that up. You've already covered most of the Northwest Species at Risk. The other major project that's been worked on there's a couple other major projects. The subdivision that's been changed by the highway realignment, and also cleaning up the old lagoon site in the industrial area. There's pieces of property all over the industrial area. That's proceeding. I believe the survey on that's going to take place here shortly, within the next week or so, and then we'll finalize that subdivision. So a lot of that is amalgamating that back into town land. And then we're also looking at updating our asset management system, so we'll have more reports on that in the future. So if Director Phillips wanted to quickly update the narrative on finance.
Okay, so just an update for the DRP. Project 1.1 for emergency services is in submission process. There was just one part of it that was missing for the submission. Project 1.3 are mutual aid between Leduc County and Mackenzie County. Leduc County is revised and paid in full, and Mackenzie County is being reconciled and should be paid, we're hoping, by the end of the month. Project 1.8, which was a nice relief coming from AEMA, they informed us that they will be paying County of Grand Prairie and City of Grand Prairie in full, and just because of the rate differences in the reconciliation that they started doing with us, they found it was just too big of a job to go through it by a third party. They're just taking care of it on their own, so that was nice to hear. And just an update that we are finishing up our capital project budget, and we'll be bringing that to our October 19th meeting, and our operating budget is underway. And then I met with Metrics Group, our auditors, so we plan to do our interim audit finalizing on November 23rd, and we're doing that just via emails, and then they will be making their way down here beginning of March to do our year-end audit, to come down and meet with us for about a week. And that's all that I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll have Mr. Carson's update on IT and HR.
Madam Mayor and Council, just very, very brief. IT, our systems have been stable for the month of September. We had no critical disruptions. I'm in the process of just getting my final little capital budget things into Director Phillips, who will want them by the end of the week, I believe. So that pretty much covers IT. On the HR side, we've had one resignation at the arena, so we have a new vacancy there, and we are interviewing for that position tomorrow. I think we have 6 or 7 candidates we'll be seeing tomorrow, so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get somebody in there pretty quickly. Other than that, we have just our 2 protected positions that are being covered by acting staff in the interim, and that's where we're at right now for HR. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, we'll have Mr. Schnarr provide the communications update.
Good evening, yeah. So September, we kind of worked on 3 large projects for community communication and engagement. Obviously, the face coverings bylaw was a big one, and we are currently in the process of putting a very large communications package together for the land use bylaw changes. And the other big project, of course, was bringing the communications from the town in to help with the SETI project, which included shooting footage and getting photos of the workshop last week. In terms of our social media engagement, we're experiencing what's commonly referred to as COVID fatigue. So people are getting it's becoming a little volatile. People are very entrenched on either, especially when it comes to mask discussions. What I was explaining to administration today is that the numbers are a small number of people that are having a lot of discussion about it. So the reach of these kind of discussions is actually quite small in terms of what we normally see for our public engagement, but the activity is quite high. So you know, the town continues to be a place where people can kind of vent and let their frustrations out and have these public discussions. We do keep an eye out on it, like you know, there's profanity filters in place and stuff. We just keep a watch and make sure that it doesn't get too out of hand. So, you know, and every once in a while we remind everybody that we're all still friends and neighbors, and when COVID's over, we will be friends and neighbors again. And you know, we just have to all kind of get through this. So, if you have any questions?
Questions? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, on behalf of Mr. McLean, the health and safety report, there were 5 incidences in the month of September. 4 were first aid related, one of them which ended up with a WCB claim, and one was an identified hazard. Mark has been cleaning up the inspection forms, and the safety data sheets have been revised and uploaded. He also worked on the emergency response drill feedback forms, got them into place, and I'll let him update in October on the first drill that we ran in October. So I believe Mark's plan is to try to run a monthly drill under different scenarios. So then we may have a quick debrief afterwards on what could have been done better and how that could have been handled. Of course, a lot of the COVID work falls on all departments, but Mark does take the brunt of it. We did have OH&S up in the area that focused on the aquatic centers in the region, of which there is one. Anyway, they walked away very, very happy. They were happy with the procedures, they were happy with the staff protocols, and we got a glowing report from OH&S on the aquatic center. Congratulations to that staff. And then I'll pass the municipal secretary over to Ms. Beaton.
I don't know why I have to read that. Most of my, Madam Mayor, is the day-to-day. I mean, we're still researching some policy bylaws, but I think the list just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I'm prepping for the election.
Prepping for the election, which we now are scared because they're talking about the Senate elections at the same time, and there will be grant funding available for us to apply for that. So
The Senate elections as well?
Yeah. So there's more training on October 30th. We just had a brief the other day, but there's more training on October 30th, and they'll probably go into more detail about the training binders and expanding things, and grant funding available for if we have to hire extra staffing or to run that other election at the same time.
So I guess AUMA's lobbying never worked.
Apparently not.
Doesn't surprise me, yes.
So with the changes in the nomination period for the next election, do we have to have an election officer or whatever in place as of January 2nd, or?
Yeah, and under, the new act states, the new information states is January 1st, but the Interpretation Act actually allows that to go to the next business day. That's sort of an automatic default. But yes, we have to be able to take nominations right from day one But we have talked about asking people maybe to call ahead or book an appointment, because if we only have one person available, we'll have probably 2 or 3, but if somebody shows up when somebody's out, they may wait, or maybe vacation, or, so we just thought it best to always have somebody available, but at least if they call ahead or try to suggest to book an appointment to come in, even a period, morning or an afternoon, but yeah, we're available for 9.5 months or 10 months.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll defer the community services report to Director Wolf.
All right, so we met with the ICE user groups and worked on developing and implementing our COVID guidelines. I'm not sure if council is all aware, but when you go to open up a municipal facility, there's federal regulations from each user group. For instance, for ICE, you'd be looking at Canada Hockey, Alberta Hockey, so you go federal, provincial, the figure skating, the curling, like each group has their own specifications on how they want things handled when we open up with the COVID guidelines. In addition, Alberta Health Services has their guidelines, their suggested guidelines, how to operate. And then we also have, as the CEO mentioned, our occupational health and safety as well. So there's quite a bit to go through. So what we did is we came up with a set of guidelines and then met with the user group to sort of say, is this going to work? What works for you within the guidelines that you have to follow? How can we operate our facilities? I will say with both the arena and the pool that we're a little bit on the stricter side right now. I think it'd be easier for us to allow more people and allow less stringent restrictions as we go along, as opposed to making it so that we're not able to trace and that sort of thing right at the beginning. Right now, we are not allowing at the arena the drop-in skates and that sort of thing. We hope to be moving towards that in November, and more drop-in ice scheduling and that sort of thing once we've developed a regular schedule of cleaning. Even with the cleaning, I have to say that our health and safety officer, Mark, has been fantastic. See, I already mentioned he's worked with us very hand in hand. We came up with a sanitizer that we're using that's safe for the kids and that sort of thing. So we're spraying all our dressing rooms after each use, so there's quite a bit involved. So the good news, we applied for a grant for actually for more, but we received $30,000 and from the Community Foundation, and that's going to be going towards our community gardens. It had to be COVID related and food related. So we're looking at putting in greenhouses, accessible garden beds, and additional garden beds so we can develop both areas. We're pretty excited about that. We have to do that in the next couple of months for the snowfalls. At any rate, what else are we doing? Oh, well, of course, we've got our new boards up at the arena, so that's exciting. We also, as the arena managers mentioned in his report here, that found the leaks from 2016, so we're pretty excited about that. So the ice is looking fairly good so far, and we're just working on some modifications with the corners of our boards, because we changed the angles of them, and some other modifications with where the ice resurfacer comes in and that Topo's been helping us with. And the pool has expanded their programming. As I mentioned, they're starting to do more. Right now they're doing a cohort lesson, they're calling it, so we're renting out an hour of swim time, I was going to say ice time, an hour of swim time, and allowing up to 4 children to have lessons at the same time with that cohort group. FCSS, we still have our COVID assistance line, we're still getting calls, we're still helping out people in the community. The museum is now closed, and they've been working on their art attack, which went really well, and we're revving up for Halloween activities. Any questions?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I'm just going to ask Director Rolfe. I did gloss over it quickly in mine, but maybe just give a quick update for the public and the council on the planning for the multi-use facility.
Oh, for sure. So we've been working with Zahari, they're our main architect. We've been working on more detailed functionality with our design. So we're at the point when we're looking at specifically, a good example I can give is where some of the rooms were located, you would have had to walk across the gym to get to them. So, so for like recycling garbage, that kind of thing, having like access ways for staff, so that sort of thing. So we're also met with, we also had the school as part of the meetings, and they've been really, really helpful because of course we're joined onto them. So making sure that our storages are lined up and that sort of thing. So we're getting down to fairly detailed design, and I'm thinking within the next couple of weeks we should have out, we have brought out a preliminary design, but we should have more detail showing the functionality. So we have, at that point, we'll probably be going back to the user groups and to council and getting more feedback too. So been very, very pleased with them. They have really good background on looking at different, on the functionality of things, and it's really, really helpful. So we're, yeah, I think we've been very pleased with, pleased and really excited. I think the last meeting we came up for the first time feeling that this is really going to work, and it's pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to presenting to council a more detailed plan.
And functionality is very important.
Well, it is, absolutely. And we're doing a lot of things that are repurposed. So, you know, we're looking at, for instance, for the emergency center and as a field house, we're looking at these extra fitness rooms that all have double washrooms in, so they can be used in the case of, you know, you have to put like a vulnerable population separately if you're having evacuation. So everything is doubled up. We're looking at a birthday party room for the pool. It's also going to be beside our playhouse that would be noisy and be, you know, double from top to bottom, that kind of thing. So you could use the birthday party room for the pool, you could use the birthday party room for the playhouse. So everything we're trying to do double purposed all the time. So there's more than one thing. Our entryway is set so one staff can see all areas, so that we can have as far like the most efficient staffing as possible and have good sight lines. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Good.
Any questions? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll have Director Straub give the operations report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Our 92nd Street water project's moving right along. We've done our pre-meetings and contract signing. They're waiting for pipe to arrive on site, and I see that project starting here within the next week or so. Richardson Pioneer is also a confirmed location of their hydrant and servicing on their lot, so that'll be going in as part of that project. We had 2 requests already to connect to the water service to the Bushy line, even though the line's not there, they're ahead of the game, and we have permits for highway crossings established already, so that'll be good to see. Those will be put in by the contractor as they go by. The lift station removal and the new gravity sewer line over in the industrial also is about 80% completed. It looks even closer today. We expect to be pulling out the old lift station this week. It's not like a burner doesn't go down, this one has to come up, so.
It's not as exciting as the burger coming down.
Yes, exactly. And we're working this week with Pinnacle Pellet to get their water and sewer connections in there. We encountered some drainage issues with along the rail line with a lot of the work they're doing. They're working with us to alleviate that, so that project will be going on. Airport's been fairly busy. They've been working on their audit plans. It looks like most of them are completed now. We'll be doing a full audit of the operation of the airport by Lumex this fall. We had a lot of issues this year with runway lights. In the report, you'll say it's mega warnings. That's due to grounding issues with the high voltage lights, directly related to the amount of rainwater and groundwater saturation we had this year. But they did work through it, and they maintained services for the most part. Again, with the rain, they've been trying to fill a dugout that's alongside there. There's some old dugouts alongside the airstrip. We're filling them up as we can to mitigate waterfowl in the area, so we can get rid of those water sources that tend not to be there. And on a good note, even though it was a wet year, we got all the crack sealing done at the airport, so good for another year. Public Works was busy doing hydrant repairs and infrastructure work as much as we can. The hydrovac's still going out and doing work on that. We did get some alleyways and laneways cleaned up with some millings. There's a lot of excess debris in some alleys, and we'll be addressing that next year with property owners. We did a few sidewalk repairs. We tried to focus on mainly the ones that created a risk of injury to the public and to our equipment. So all the high hazard items were dealt with. And we're repairing our winter equipment. Our mechanics have been busy working on all that, getting our assets ready. Our snow blower had a significant amount of repairs this year. Sad to say, we did have to dig one plot this last month for a funeral, and moisture again this year created some high risk for us. It took a lot of extra work to get it ready and keep the people safe, but it turned out well. The utilities, lead testing was completed. We're in the process of reviewing the results and sending letters to those that did participate. This is stage one. The lead testing program is actually going to be, we have 5 years to complete it, so we do one evaluation and we'll evaluate again next year. And then if there's any remediation that's required by the homeowner or the town, that will come out by the 3-year mark. Again, fire flushing was completed. We only had a couple of failures. Amber Heights Lift Station, that project we had from 2 years ago, still had some deficiencies. We finally got those completed. It is under a 2-year warranty period, and we're waiting for some outstanding work on that. And again, we're also working in the water plant on trying to improve the quality constantly. We're reviewing some new processes, looking at different injection points of chlorine, for instance, in order to lower any potential THM or trihalomethaneine byproducts. And we had one pump failure. It lasted for 20 years, and the cost is always annoying to have to fix it. But other than that, that's all I have to report.
Any questions?
How are things going at the rodeo grounds?
I was out there today. It's looking really good, actually. The rain last week slowed it down a little bit, but it's looking really good now. We have a packer out there and a cat, and they should be ready to see this fall, so we'll get a good growing season next year. I am positive we are moving in the right direction.
Good. Any other questions? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll ask Director Schmidt to give the protective services report.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. As was mentioned during the RCMP report, our police officers are still doubled up on day shift, but even though they still did some really good work out there for us, as you can see in the report, they conducted 38 investigations in the month of September. They had 29 received calls for service within the town limits, resulting in 15 arrests and 9 illegal alcohol and cannabis seizures throughout the month. Also note our police officers conducted a couple of extensive investigations. One was an independent investigation that resulted in the arrest of 2 persons accused of several overnight vehicle break-ins and vehicle tampering reports. They worked with the RCMP on that one. Property break-in tools were recovered during that arrest, and they were placed in conditions. They were not from the town high level, so they were placed on conditions not to return to the town high level after a court appearance. They've also arrested and remanded a couple of habitually dangerous offenders from within the community. So as Corporal Holmes mentioned earlier, that our police officers are still working very closely with the RCMP on several case files, and they assist them quite regularly. So emergency management, no activations for the month of September, although we are preparing for the regional planning exercise and hazard risk assessment process that we do with the Dennytown First Nations, which we completed last week. So I had 2 very enlightening days with our consultant and with a member from the Dennytown First Nation, traveling to different communities, looking at some of their emergency management preparations, planning, and I must say they're doing an amazing job, especially in the COVID file. They've got some excellent people out there and doing some really, really good work. So we completed the paperwork portion of the hazard assessment. So the hazard assessment's been updated for all 4 communities as of yesterday. Our consultant's doing some of the final touches on that, and then he'll get a report back to both councils with recommendations, and then we'll look at where we're going from there. So, but lots of opportunities. We're working together on the emergency management file that came out of last week, so it was a really good few days. It was a lot of travel, but it was really worth it. Fire department, 25 calls in September, calls of note. We did a trench collapse call, very much similar to what Director Straub has mentioned, with the increased moisture in the ground. You know, we're starting to, we definitely had an increased risk in the community. We had 2 vehicle fires in town. We have multiple motor vehicle collisions, one of which required extrication right in town on the highway access to Main Street in September. So it was a T-bone collision, which we had to cut somebody out of a car there. So, we've had a really strange uptake of motor vehicle collisions this summer and fall, way higher than what we normally have. Summers usually are a quiet season for motor vehicle collisions, and this year has been quite a bit different. So, which has kind of replaced the amount of wildland calls that we usually do. So it's kind of leveled out a little bit. Department completed its fall live fire training weekend at the end of September with 30 firefighters attend, including 7 from the newly formed Zama Fire Department and 4 from Rainbow Lake. Training weekend was probably one of the best weekends I've had in my career with the town. Just an excellent weekend. Everybody worked really hard, and it resulted in 9 of our firefighters completing their level 1 firefighter qualifications, which they'll be writing their provincial exam this weekend. So, and finally, the WUI team taught courses in Peace River and Grand Prairie in September, and then they also assisted with department operations, and we're now starting to work on instructor standards for those programs in conjunction with the Hinton Training Center. That's my report.
So are you, did you get your quota of volunteer new recruits?
We're not full. We received 5, we have 5 new recruits, and we're just chasing down a couple of other applications of people that have expressed interest. So we're hoping that when the dust settles, we'll have 7. Will bring us to a comfortable number, not exactly like a full roster, but we'll be in that 30 plus range. So it'll be comfortable enough to get us through, and we'll do another recruitment in the spring.
Any other questions?
Any updates from the province on the WUI funding program?
No update. We have had discussions with both Alberta Agriculture and Forestry and Municipal Affairs, and I know there's ongoing discussions happening, but we haven't received any updates officially.
All right, could I have someone move monthly reports? Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Carried. So moving on to old business, the inflatable screen package purchase.
Madam Mayor, I'll ask Director Rolfe to present that.
Okay, so we did have funds budgeted for this year for inflatable interactive playhouses, but due to the pandemic, when we got quotes and we're ready to order them, we realized that we wouldn't be able to use them because we wouldn't have any way of cleaning them. We can't socially distance children, that sort of thing. So we are planning to put them into the budget again for next year, but I don't know again if that'll work next year. So we're looking at instead purchasing a large movie screen. So the movie screen we're looking at is it's inflatable. It's 20 feet. It comes with all the accessories. So it comes with like the HD Blu-ray player, movie player, plug-and-play audio mixer, speaker system, that sort of thing. So we're asking council to approve the 20,000 capital project for 16,000 for the inflatable screen package to be financed through the general reserve.
Do those 4 guys come with it? So where will you store this? Like how big of a package does it?
We should be able to store it within the rec center or within our current storage in the FCSS room. And how it compresses down, so everything comes in, like the actual movie screen will be 143 pounds, but it's all deflated and they're all in carry packages, the speakers are, everything comes into carrying packages. So I assume it's going to be a larger, the actual movie screen, but you have to blow it up. So.
Madam Mayor, just for a size reference, it would cover most of that back wall at 20 by 12. it's a fair size for a group of a couple hundred people.
COVID related people?
Absolutely, social distancing included. We'll draw circles on the floor.
The municipal secretary can use it for minutes.
I'll be able to see.
That's all right.
Could use it for minutes.
Oh, yeah, we're checking the minutes.
I keep trying to recruit people to do this. They just
So what's your wish, council?
There's a question of powering, wherever it's used, do you have to run an extension cord from somewhere or
You have to have power from some
Or a
source. But
generator?
yeah, we have one of those that we use for different events, and that one of those like boxes that you have a major plug in and we can carry, you have extension cords in it, so. And I, for the most part, like for outside, if we're like Jubilee Park, we already have power there, so most of the
Right.
places there shouldn't be an issue. If we're using it the upstairs of the arena or at the pool, we have power.
Well, shouldn't the upstairs of the arena?
Yeah, because we have a big stage up there, so.
But it's 12 feet high?
Is it 20 feet high or is it 12?
12 feet.
12 feet tall,
20
20 feet
20
wide.
feet wide.
20 feet long, 12 feet.
I know when we did theater up there, on that stage, you could touch the
Yeah.
ceiling, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 12.
It's
Yeah.
more than 8 feet.
You may not put it on the stage.
Right.
Because that actually, if you look at the bottom of it, it's not.
The
not
white screen itself is 12 by 20? No.
Could go on
Oh,
to
the
the
entire-
curling
the
pad.
entire inflatable piece.
It's 8 feet high.
When it's used indoors, does it require constant inflation, just like those bouncy castles where the thing is running all the time? So does that affect the,
The way I understand it, once you blow it up, it's like hard and it just stays that way.
oh, okay. Because in the picture, it shows that little pump like in the side, and you know those bouncy castles that have things that
Yeah,
have
keep
the
blowing it up,
continuous
yeah.
pump running all the time? It's not, it,
That wasn't my understanding, that
Okay.
once you blow it up, it stays, it's like hard. and
because
hard.
outside that wouldn't be a problem, but inside that
It would be
could,
pretty noisy,
yeah.
yeah.
And the audio apparently comes from the speaker, so it wouldn't
Yes.
be good for a drive-in or anything.
No, it definitely would not be for.
And it's not good for cold weather.
No. So it'd be like up to the fall kind of weather, spring weather, but 20, 30 below, no.
When your audience would be not like outdoors on chairs and things anyways, so.
Chairs or blankets and that in the spring and fall and summer, yeah.
And did we talk about its performance if it's not dark? If it's not,
Yeah, it wasn't conducive for not being outside, for being dark, sir.
it's
Right.
not.
It has to be dark.
So,
So the middle of summer, when we have like light,
It
unless you
wouldn't
have it
be-
inside of something, like inside of a
Right.
tent or something, or an amphitheater, it would be
so our
hard to see.
effective outdoor time would be spring and fall, kind of.
Yeah. Or under something covered.
Any other questions? Could I have a motion, please? Okay, ask a question then.
So we budgeted money to pay for the inflatable things, and that's just gone back into general reserves, basically?
Or a portion of it would go back in the general reserve, so if we budgeted 20.
We
and this is
budgeted
for
20,000,
16.
we just want to take 16,000 of that we were gonna allocate to inflatables to pay for this, okay.
And then the inflatables would have to be added to next year's capital budget, is that?
Yes, they would, yeah.
Otherwise, it's a carryover, right?
Right.
Any other questions?
No, I was gonna make a motion.
Okay, give her.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the purchase of the projector system.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. You're not in favor.
And the screen, right? And the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And the popcorn.
We have a popcorn machine. Okay, briefing note on the CC wireless. That was pretty good news.
Madam Mayor, I'll just ask Mr. Karstens to come forward and give an update on the broadband, or CCI wireless broadband plan.
Good evening again. The last time I brought a briefing note regarding CCI Wireless, that was August 24th. It was not great news. That was that they had put their planned capital expenditure on hold. Things have changed. October 1st, I received a phone call from Mr. Graham Fleet from CCI Wireless letting me know that they had been acquired by ExploreNet Communications. ExploreNet are significantly larger and are pushing hard on expansion in Western Canada. Over the next 5 years, they're planning to spend $500 million in Alberta, British Columbia, so on. This has changed CCI's capital outlook, and Graham is once again feeling pretty optimistic that we can get moving on getting things done here. Obviously, winter's not a great time to be putting up towers, but we can do a lot of the groundwork and get things moving there, as well as explore possible other alternatives that may be available given the additional capital funding that might be available from ExploreNet through CCI Wireless, and also look at ways that we could partner with CCI Wireless or anybody else who comes up with a sound plan on getting grant money from the 2 available federal grants. That's what I have right now. Just a very short briefing note, but we'll keep you informed of anything as it comes up.
Any questions from council? That's better news than 700,000. 7 million.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Could I have this report moved for, no, you just want it left?
No, you can accept it as information.
Okay. Someone move for information? Councillor Welke, all in favor? Carried. Under new business, NAV Canada.
Madam Mayor, on September 22nd, we received a notification from NAV Canada that they are once again reviewing their stations, their flight service stations, and have listed a number of places for possible closure, which includes our high-level FSS, as well as probably just as concerning the Peace River FSS, which of course would leave Northwest Alberta with no coverage at all. This is, some of you are aware, this occurs like clockwork every 4 or 5 years. NAV Canada comes back and does this and threatens to shut us down, and we've managed to put together a fairly decent argument in the past to keep it open, mainly because of the sheer amount of acreage that would be without assistance. So all we're asking is, council is if you're interested in us preparing a presentation to NAV Canada to retain this FFS station. We have our 2004 and our 2008 submissions, and Director Schmidt will go back through his notes and anyone else we might have in my 24.
I've been through this twice in my tenure here now, so.
So is 2008 the last time we had a?
I don't believe so. That's the last file we could find. Sandra's been looking for the other files. I believe there was one in the teens, early teens.
Yeah, I think so too.
2012 kind of rings a bell to me, but somewhere out there, but I'll take a look.
Yeah, it seems about every 4 years.
So council, should we make a motion to have administration?
I have a question. Just have a quick question.
Yep.
So is there any indication that this is different than the previous times because of COVID?
Well, this is what has us a little scratching our heads a little bit, is that COVID has definitely hurt the airline industry. There's no question at all. It's hurt our revenues at the airport as well. It's hurt our scheduled flights, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like a very odd excuse to cut services when it's essentially kicking the airline industry while it's down to an extent. We don't see them increasing services when they have a really good year like last year, when forestry flew planes in every couple of minutes. But as soon as they have a bit of trouble. Some of that is the model, I understand, that NAV Canada is built on, because it is a Crown corporation. so it does not retain a great deal of profit to carry over for bad times. But I don't see how the COVID is indicative of the normal air traffic at this airport, which is actually quite high at times, so. We'll bring that forward again, and that will essentially be our argument.
And it's a pretty active base as well, like forestry base, tanker base.
Oh, forestry, in a normal time, we have 3 scheduled flights a day. That's more than most cities 10 times our size have, right?
And from a safety standpoint, just like you said, the geographic area that it covers would be very, like,
If they
illogical.
close this area down, there would be only flight services issued from Fort St. John all the way through Peace River.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Counselor,
So am I to understand that if NAV Canada pulls out, shuts it down, there would be no scheduled flights out of high level?
No, I'll push that over to you.
No, not necessarily. As an example, Central Mountain Air used to fly into Rainbow Lake, and there's no flight service station there. So it would probably cause them to reevaluate things during certain weather conditions. I think that would probably have the biggest effect, is flight service or like sched flights during the winter, if they don't have good, accurate information on the ground during the day from the flight service station. They can't rely on the automated weather system and so on. So I think that would probably be the biggest effect on our scheduled flights. But the biggest issue is, or the other big issue is that just the coordination of the air traffic during a busy summer season, where those sched flights are trying to come in amongst, air ambulance and air tanker traffic and general aviation traffic. I mean, Peace River has a lot more movements in a year than high level does. So I think, in my opinion, they'd probably be at higher risk for losing their flight services. But using a COVID year as an excuse because our flights are low is, I don't agree with their methodology, because we could be just bounced right back. We have a busy year next year, and it definitely puts a safety issue at the airport.
so if I can recall, it's a combination of 5 years, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not just this year. We would be able to,
A rolling average.
yes.
Rolling average, yeah.
Counselor Jessamine, you had a question?
I was just gonna add to Director Smith's comment was, it's a huge concern for us as a ministry there, with the high volume of air traffic that comes in and out. We'd be quite concerned with the safety of our staff and everyone on those planes. So,
One thing for council to remember is it's an air advisory service, it's not air traffic control, so there is quite a bit of difference, and we got to be careful not to mix the two subjects. So they don't actually control the airspace here, they advise. So it is a lower level of air traffic management, but it's still a critical service to us when that airport is busy.
Is there any other?
I have another thing that's an underlying issue for this flight services. One of the prerequisites for our ACAP funding is to have that flight services. So there's a huge financial loss for the community if they close also. That's our operations and our equipment and our maintenance of our airport, all the funding.
So does Peace River not have scheduled flights right now? So they're not getting any ACAP funding then?
No, they have
Madam Mayor,
flight services.
The flight services has to be running for the ACAP. It doesn't necessarily have to be the scheduled service.
Okay. Yes?
So if they closed here, you said it would be run out of Fort St. John, but that's one of the places that they're looking at closing overnight services.
It's also on the list.
Here, that's what they were talking, that they would possibly run another Fort St. John. So it could be even further south, like Grand Prairie.
I guess the only caution I have in using the fire and stuff last year is during the period where the town was evacuated, didn't they close down? Didn't their staff leave?
They evacuated during
They
that.
were the first out.
They weren't required though, once the fire established, forestry took over air control for the areas.
Okay. So we can point that out, that that service was still there, because how many aircraft were in the area at that time? Hundreds.
Lots.
They set up their own stations.
Okay.
We also, and maybe Director Shaw can add to this, we just spent a fair chunk of change doing LiDAR on the approach path as well to increase the safety of this airport, so.
Not to mention resurfacing it.
And CAN was supposed to be proceeding with a new LPV, a low approach to the airport to improve services. So we're not sure where that's going to go now. They'll ask, and it doesn't necessarily move forward, but that new lower approach would have given us the basis in order to improve our airport lighting, traffic and all our other lighting there too. So that would have tied directly into ACAP also. So we're still heading down that path, and this would be a horrible thing to happen right this time.
I think we need to push this very hard.
Do you want to make that your motion?
Councilor Morgan already did.
Oh, yes.
I did.
Okay.
Don't want to steal his thunder.
Anyhow.
I have the council instruct administration to prepare a presentation.
In support of retaining flight services.
I'm very articulate.
And perhaps ask if we could make an in-person presentation if it comes to that.
A Zoom
We'll
presentation.
fly him in.
However it happens.
Tell them they have to fly in.
Just, Madam Mayor, just, if I remember correctly, our efforts last time involved multiple letters to multiple ministers
Yeah.
regarding that as well.
We'll take it back and look at the files.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a recent one somewhere. All right, all in favor of that motion? Carried. So the correspondence for action comes from Ready.
Madam Mayor, there's a letter already in your package asking its members to write to the Honorable Doug Schweitzer to request that the funding for Regis be restored to its full amount.
Right. Which is $100,000, and they've cut it in half to $50,000. Any questions about it? So this is very important funding for Ready, or all Ritas. Number one, because we don't have the capacity to hire an economic development person. So the Ritas are the economic development people for our region. And with them cutting our funding like that, it makes it very hard for us to move forward without coming back to the communities, which are High Level Rainbow and Mackenzie County, to pay for that. So that is the importance of this this letter going forward. So does someone want to make that motion? Is there any questions?
I'll make the motion that
Okay.
we write the letter in support.
Councillor
request.
Welch? All in favor? Carried. Councillor Welch makes the...
Yes.
Okay. And so that ends our meeting for this evening. Could I have someone move to adjourn? Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Carried.